Ms. Yusra, if you can share your screen, please, and put it on the agenda to know who's missing now.
So the first group we have today is Hiba Hatem, Dana, Maya, and Sumaya. Are they all here?
Yes.
Yes, girls are ready? Okay, let's just make sure the next group is also ready. Ms. Rania, Mohammed Buzayan, and Mohammed Khalid, are they ready?
Yes, Ms. Yusra.
Okay. Okay, I believe since it's 9:20, we can start with the first group. Hiba, Dana, Maya, Sumaya, would you girls like to present your screens now and get started on your presentation? Ladies, could you all please turn your cameras on as well?
Can we start?
Yes, please go ahead.
Hello everyone, today we will be presenting the project of modeling an alien adapted to Earth conditions.
Our objectives is to investigate how animal adaptations and the genes that give rise to its adaptations describe the relation between structure and function of organisms, apply scientific methods to design a science fiction model that reflects adaptation to the surrounding environment. Lastly, valuing diversity among organisms.
In science fiction films, ideas about human subjectivity and identity have traditionally been established in a comparison between self, or we can say human, and other non-human characters. The alien or monster or robot of science fiction may provide an example for that.
For years, the space agency has been trawling through the universe, probing galaxies and solar systems, sifting through cosmic dust, spending millions, if not billions, searching for beings that did not originate on planet Earth.
This research introduces the concept of modeling aliens through science fiction filming. It will also discuss how the anatomy of body systems help us in designing an alien for the science fiction film industry. The three main questions that will be discussed throughout the research are: first, how do bodies get energy to survive? Second, how are their body systems connected to each other? And finally, what skin texture is covering the body? Along to these questions, we are going to discuss some of the body systems and how they function in space.
Also, we are going to discuss how the anatomy of body systems help us in designing an alien for the science fiction film industry.
Science fiction films are often speculative in nature and often include key supporting elements of science and technology. Consequently, having enough knowledge about the body systems would, of course, aid in modeling our alien.
Living in space can affect our bodies when getting exposed to different conditions. For instance, radiation could increase lifetime risk for cancer. Require daily exercise to keep our muscles and bones from deteriorating.
In space, many skin cells are lost, which will cause the skin to age quicker. Also, the lower part of the skin, the dermis, changes. In particular, The extracellular matrix component elastin and collagen undergo modifications. In one study in 2006-2007, researchers found that German astronaut Thomas Ritter's skin was thinner and more stretchy when he returned from nearly 200 days in space.
According to Skin Bee experiment, skin aging is accelerated because the skin in space is exposed to extreme temperatures, radiations from the sun. On Earth, you might get a sunburn from the sun's UV rays in 15 to 20 minutes, but in outer space, you could get second-degree burns in 15 to 20 seconds. This could cause an injury.
Scientists studied the microbiome of an astronaut who returned from a year living in space. They found changes in the types and numbers of microbes in his digestive system.
Data from space flights has also shown that most space travelers do not achieve their required energy intake through the onboard rations and typically consume about 75 to 80% of their daily requirements. Inadequate energy intake has been confirmed by short-term missions, which usually last from 8 to 14 days, where the TEE was analyzed by the doubly labeled water method. We can see in this figure a decline of 2H and 18O levels in total body water during a doubly labeled water experiment and the TEE.
Research shows that a 3.5% loss of bone occurs after 16 to 28 weeks of spaceflight, 97% of which is in weight-bearing bones such as the pelvis and legs.
Where the legs and spine are especially affected by the lack of weight bearing in space. They leach calcium and become brittle and weak in a process called disease osteoporosis.
Studies have shown that astronauts lose about 1% to 2% of their bone mass each month they are in space. Nowadays, technology has improved and science filming has been developed. Therefore, we hypothesize that this advancement would change the way of how various characters are modeled and give people the opportunity to explore a new experience that is full of imagination and creativity. Furthermore, we believe that studying and drawing a connection between the body systems and their structure with the model of the alien would help us in having better results and outcomes, which ensures survival and adaptations to different conditions.
Of course, there were many steps that we had to follow in order to ensure that that we cover all of the objectives. And the first step was we had to research and gather information related to the changes that happen to the body and how they adapt to these changes, and we had to check whether the resources were accurate or not.
Secondly, we then drew a sketch that represents the both external and internal features and characteristics of the alien model.
Third, we built our 3D model showing the alien's traits in a clear and accurate way.
Finally, we used the Blender platform to design the model and present it using specific tools that assisted us with the building of our model. This video shows the process of building the alien model through the Blender platform.
Of course, we faced some challenges at the beginning, but then we were able to master the 3D alien model. On Earth, the effects of gravity and mechanical loading are needed to maintain our bones. In space, this doesn't happen. Bones normally undergo continual remodeling, and two types of cells are involved: the osteoblasts, which make and regulate the bone matrix, and the osteoclasts. These absorb the bone matrix. During spaceflight, however, the balance of these two processes is altered, which leads to reduced bone mineral density.
However, when it comes to the digestive system will lack microbiome that will lead to difficult digestion process of food. Since the amount of pressure is low in space, the volume increases in tissues, and therefore the surface area decreases, which leads to insufficient intake of nutrients, causing the structure of an alien to look skinny.
Over time, the percent change of the bone mineral density is decreasing due to the low levels of gravity in space. Species get exposed to high levels of radiation. Therefore, the model would have a stiff, rigid, and darker skin with thicker layers.
On the other hand, aliens on Earth depend on hydrogen instead of oxygen for breathing, because the amount or the percentage of oxygen in space is lower than hydrogen. Yet they won't be able to have a sufficient amount of hydrogen on Earth, so they should be provided with a certain amount of hydrogen tanks to survive on Earth conditions. The skull is modeled with a huge ball structure to provide a way of protection and support to the brain.
We concluded that our alien will be designed with an external structure that shows dark, wrinkled, and stiff skin layers, as well as a skinny structure to handle life activities easily. There were a lot of skills that we achieved. We divided them into two types: the academic skills and the personal skills. So the academic skills were the ability to understand and integrate resources through various means, and the ability to survey and understand fields of knowledge to collect and organize important historical data. The personal skills, our team working skills were enhanced. We've gained different skills such as 3D modeling, sketching, and designing.
Of course, we have faced several challenges through the research. First, there was a lack of resources regarding the alien's internal and external body structure.
Second, we faced a difficulty in using the Blender platform since we did not have background about it at all.
And third, it was a bit hard for us to increase the wrinkles in the forehead, which was supposed to be done according to the research and results.
In conclusion, we worked on enhancing the field of science filming by modeling an alien that is capable of surviving on Earth. However, we can further improve the project by designing an alien that really clearly represents its traits such as more wrinkled skin.
Thank you. This was all.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, ladies. This was impressive. Now I will just start presenting my screen. So my team is ready from the boys' side. Let me just stop presenting at the other meeting. Mohammed Bouzayan and Mohammed Khalid, please start presenting. Okay, and yeah, and here I will just start presenting. Yep, I think. No, it's not this one. Give me 1 second. So, and can you please confirm that you can see the screen? Ms. Nafisa, Ms. Dima?
Yes, I can see.
Okay.
Okay, so hi everyone. Today, me, Mohammed Khalid, and my colleague Mohammed Zayan will present our journey in designing our model Sinograde. So first of all, are we alone, or or are we just the others? What could be under the laws of nature? Imagine how strange it would be when we unlock the mystery, and what is beyond. So to have hope of finding any alien life, we first need to know where to begin with. There is one thing we need to know for sure, which is trusting nature. Alien life most likely is going to be following the same physical and chemical laws as we are, but we can never be truly sure of that. And will aliens follow the same rules of life as we know it, or will it have exotic living conditions? So before conducting our before like continuing our research, we conducted a deep research about our alien, and we formed this hypothesis. The first thing, which was about Mars, we chose the alien's habitat, which was on Mars's poles, and in order for it to survive, the alien should have certain characteristics and processes, which we will explain later in this PowerPoint. So some features of our alien will be microscopic size. It will be tolerant to high radiation levels, withstand extreme temperatures, overcome lack of oxygen and drying seasons, and it will also be tolerant to high air pressures which are commonly found on Mars. And because we added some features to our alien, it will be also it will also be able to survive on Earth.
Our extensive research to understand the features of an astronaut suit made us realize the special features that we should add to our alien in order to withstand the outer space and different planets' conditions, and made us dream of adding new features to the existing suit models driven from our alien unique features.
So background research. So as we all know, that there is no confirmed evidence of alien existence. So obviously collecting data was very hard. We chose Mars to be the habitat of our alien, and by comparing Earth and Mars's conditions, we decided to find a living organism that can survive the toughest conditions and study it to support our alien with the same features. We also had to choose the most suitable candidate for Mars, and that was the tardigrade and the cyanobacteria. Our model cyanobacteria was a complete success.
After researching the most important features needed for our alien to survive, we extended our research to find a matching organism from our planet Earth that has important features needed for our alien. And we were lucky to find a perfect match, which was the tardigrade. First, temperature tolerance. Tardigrades have great temperature tolerance. They can tolerate very high Celsius and very low temperatures, up to negative. And the second thing that tardigrades have is radiation tolerance. Tardigrades can tolerate great doses of radiation. Just as an example, they can tolerate 100,000 rams of radiation, which is compared to humans, which can only take 500 rams of radiation. Tardigrades they have a very high level. They have a very high tolerance to radiation, and they can live in space up to 10 days, and which enables them to live on Mars for a very long time. And finally, microscopic creatures. As you know, microscopic creatures have great adaptability. They can adapt very fast to different conditions, and because of that, we decided to make our alien microscopic creature. And we were lucky to discover that tardigrades are also microscopic creatures. Their size ranges from 0.05 millimeters to 1.2 millimeters.
So thankfully, our school provided us with an amazing opportunity to meet experts from Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center. They provided us with their opinions on some of the things we asked. The first question, which was regarding the size of the alien, we asked them what is the ideal body size for our alien to live on Mars. Should it be a unicellular organism, or should it be much bigger. And the second question was about energy. What is the best energy source for our alien on Mars? And lastly, pressure. How does the atmospheric pressure on Mars affect the state of matter? So some recommendations the experts made for us. The first one, which was about the alien size, they said that although the size of a unicellular organism is so small, they said that it can be achieved and that it's possible to have an alien this size, and that if you're able to achieve that, it will greatly help the alien to survive Mars's conditions. She also said that there are many good and reliable ways to obtain energy on Mars, like solar energy, by using solar panels. And she also said that nuclear energy can be another great way to make energy. Based on the collected data and analyzed collected data, plus the expert recommendations, we started modeling our alien.
First, first our model and design. So first our idea, model, and features of the alien came from, as we mentioned before, different. These organisms are one of the most adaptable organisms on Earth. They are the cyanobacteria and the tardigrades. And because of that, you will find great similarities between our alien, the cyanograde, and the tardigrade and cyanobacteria. Second is the color of our alien. Our alien has a green color because it contains chloroplasts, which reflect green color and absorb all other light waves. And because of that, our alien is green color. And you'll also notice that it has blue and red spots on top of it, on top of our alien. These blue and red spots come from pigments called phycobilins, which reflect red or blue light. And finally, the hair-like tentacles on top of our alien. These hair-like tentacles are called flagellas, and they will enable our alien to move. During our research, we find different threats that might face our alien. First is ionizing radiation or radiation in general. In physics, radiation is the emission or transmission of energy in the form of waves or particles through a space or through material medium. Simply, radiation is the transmission of energy from a source via waves or particles. And ionizing radiation is a dangerous type of radiation. Ionizing radiation contains UV radiation or ultraviolet radiation, X-ray radiation, and gamma ray radiation. And they're very dangerous because they have a very high frequency, which gives them very high energy and could kill all living organisms. So to calculate the ionizing radiation, we use two formulas. The first formula is the inverse square law, which states that I, which is the intensity at a certain distance, and the measurement of I is candelas. The formula states that I is directly proportional to 1 over distance squared. And distance is the distance from the source of radiation, like the sun, to the organism or thing being affected by the radiation. The second formula we use is the exposure rate. The exposure rate states that D, which is the exposure rate, and the measurement of it is in rad per hour, equals gamma, which is a constant, times A, which is the activity of isotopes or activity of radiation, over distance squared. And notice that distance should be in centimeters. An example of that is the example states that if a bright flashlight has a light intensity of 15 candelas at a distance of 1 meter from the lens, what is the intensity of the flashlight at 100 meters from the lens? First, we need to find the givens. The givens is 15 candelas, which is I1, and the first, and D1, which is 1 meter, and D2, which is 100 meters. And we can use the formula I1 over I2 equals D2 squared over D1 squared. And by looking at this formula, you can change it. You can find another formula which says that I1 times D1 squared equals I2 times D2 squared. And by using the formula we found out, we can know that, or we can discover that I2 equals 0.0015 candelas. To survive the high radiation on Mars, our alien is going to use a protein called D-sub that binds to the chromatin of an organism, which is the DNA inside the cell. And this protein will form a protective cloud around the chromatin and prevent it from being shattered by the high energy of radiation. Furthermore, our alien, the cyanograde, will protect itself from harmful UV radiation by glowing blue using fluorescent pigment shield, which will be its unique mechanism for UV tolerance. And please note that molecules fluoresce when they absorb higher energy light and release lower energy light. The second threat is the extremely high and low temperature levels and the lack of water. First, to overcome the extremely high and low levels of temperature, our alien is going to use the anti-freezing protein, which prevents the cytoplasm of our alien from freezing, and this will enable our alien to survive very low temperature levels, and also use a process called anhydrobiosis. Anhydrobiosis, which is part of cryptobiosis, means life without water. This process enables creatures like tardigrades to survive the loss of all or almost all water in their body and prevents both the cytoplasm of dying and the organelles in the cytoplasm from decaying. During anhydrobiosis, the creature will curl up and sleep or hibernate while releasing a chemical called trehalose that crystallizes the cytoplasm until it reaches a water source again. These are different processes of cryptobiosis, but what we need, and the most important one, is anhydrobiosis. And to overcome the lack of water on Mars, our aim is going to use anhydrobiosis, as I mentioned, and it will also use another process called alcohol fermentation, which will use the glucose the alien produced, or our alien produced, in order to produce ethanol or alcohol that will melt the ice around it. The third threat is the atmospheric pressure. Pressure is a dangerous, or difference in pressure is a very dangerous factor, because difference in pressure may cause our alien to either explode or shrink, and in both cases it will die. And just comparing the pressure from Mars to the pressure on Earth, pressure on Mars is about 0.095 psi, which is very tiny compared to Earth 14.7 psi of pressure at sea level. And our alien is also going to overcome this difference in pressure by using the anhydrobiosis again, or you can call it TAN state, because the TAN state, which is anhydrobiosis, or the paralyzed state of the tardigrades. And in anhydrobiosis, after crystallizing the cytoplasm, our alien is going to be able to tolerate the difference in pressure. Finally, and the fourth threat is metabolism. Metabolism is the most important factor, is a very important factor for growth and survival of life as we know it. Metabolism is a term that we use to describe all chemical reactions involved in maintaining the living state of cells and organisms. It simply means that how do our organism, or how do organisms get energy? There are two pathways in metabolism. We have the anabolic pathway and the catabolic pathway. Anabolic pathway is a pathway in which organisms produce their own energy, like plants, while catabolic pathway means that organisms get energy by eating other organisms. And in both cases, and our aim is going to use it's going to use the anabolic pathway and the catabolic pathway for different reasons. For the anabolic pathway, our aim is going to use photosynthesis as a mean to get consistent supply of energy. Photosynthesis is a process in which most autotrophs use to get more energy. And in photosynthesis, organisms use sunlight, water, and CO2 and convert them to glucose and oxygen. And the second type of anabolic pathway we're going to use is by using phycobilin pigments that will enable our alien to absorb from a wider range of light wave, or from a wider range of light spectrum, and this will give our alien a greater chance of getting more energy. And for the catabolic pathway, our aliens, as I mentioned before, is going to use ethanol fermentation in order to produce water and use diffusion and remove waste from its body, or absorb molecules that it needed from the environment.
So at the end of this extraordinary journey, there has been no evidence for the existence of extraterrestrial life. However, many reasons would enable the life to exist in space. And if you just think about it, look at Earth's size. There are over billions of trillions of planets, and what are the chances that life only exists on Earth? And some of the requirements for life to exist in space is that the planet should be in a habitable zone, and it should have water and life that overcame their harsh environment. Furthermore, our alien is based on our imagination and current understanding of Mars's environment and Earth's living organisms. Our alien fulfilled all the nature, chemical, physical, and biological factors to survive. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you much for listening.
Thank you, boys, for a very thorough research and a thorough presentation. So next we have Alice and Berlent. Alice and Berlent, are you girls ready?
Yes.
All right, Yella, go ahead and present your screen, please.
The existence of aliens has been debated for centuries now. When discussed, they tend to be depicted as strange mythical creatures with supernatural powers and unfathomable intelligence. However, these associations are not based on scientific research or evidence. After heavily considering the reality of extraterrestrial beings, we found a number of matters that lack proper documentation. We will be diving into these matters to produce the most scientifically accurate alien. To aid us in our research, we have presumed that our alien is native to the distant planet Kepler-186f, which is in Kepler-186 system about 500 light-years from Earth in constellation Cygnus. It's a dim dark planet that is extremely cold and has CO2 as the dominant gas in its atmosphere.
We've reached the following hypothesis. If the alien's origin is a cold planet, we expect it to have thick, light blue skin covered in fur, as well as big eyes and ears, a large nose, and no mouth. It will also be small and lightweight, with a jelly-like body consisting of fat, strong wings, and a tail.
We used previous knowledge of Photoshop to design our alien with the decided features from the background research as our evidence. On this screen, you can see our finalized 2D model. The following is how we decided on the drone features.
So, we'll be starting with the eyes. The alien will have a single huge eye with a dilated pupil that covers most of the eye's area. This is because the alien's home planet is 52.4 million kilometers away from the star that it orbits, which is Kepler-186. Although the Earth is 148.5 million kilometers away from the Sun, the Earth is warmer than Kepler-186f because Kepler-186's radius is almost half the radius of the Sun. In addition, the Sun's luminosity is 1 solar luminosity, while Kepler-186's luminosity is only 0.055 solar luminosity. So these factors cause Kepler-186f to be darker and dimmer than Earth.
Human pupils dilate when there's a lack of light, as larger pupils allow more light to enter the eye. Based on this, we have decided that our alien's pupil must be dilated, since its home planet doesn't have as much light as Earth. We also believe that its eyes must be thicker and bigger than those of a human in order to be able to bend more light. Finally, our alien might have multiple lenses, just like a camera. There are many different types of camera lenses: a standard lens, a wide-angle lens, and a telephoto lens. Although such variety of lenses cannot be found in human eyes, there is a reason to believe the alien will have a need for multiple lenses. Humans have two eyes, each of them having an angle of view of 155 degrees, allowing humans to have slightly more than 180 forward-facing horizontal field of view. Since the alien has only one eye, it will need a wide-angle lens or something resembling a wide-angle lens in order to have a proper view of its surroundings.
Cats need superior nighttime vision as they often hunt at night. The way their eyes have adapted is by the introduction of a structure called the tactum lucidum behind the retina, which reflects light back through the retina to enhance perception in dim light. This allows cats to see even when the level of light is 7 times lower than a human needs to be able to see. Additionally, cats can experience a 135 to 300. Pardon? Okay, I'll continue. Whereas humans only experience a 15-fold change in the area. This means cats can adapt their eyes to see in a wider range of light levels than humans. So just like cats, our alien will have to see in the dark and need a wider range of view, and that is why we anticipate that the presence of tactum lucidum in its eye is necessary. On to the next feature, the alien will have an antenna as a replacement for ears. To understand why, we will have to look into sound and light.
Sound and light travel in waves. Sound travels a million times slower than light and requires a medium to travel. That is why in vacuum or space there is no sound. Light, on the other hand, does not need a medium to travel, which explains how we can see light from the sun. A factor that can alter sound is temperature. Air molecules have more energy at higher temperatures, which means they vibrate faster. This allows the sound waves to also travel faster because they are propelled by collisions between the molecules. Lower temperatures mean lower kinetic energy, therefore less speed and distance for the sound speed. Since Kepler-26f is colder than Earth, sound is going to travel at a lower speed than that on Earth.
The average length of a human ear is 6.4 centimeters. This is linked to the concentrations of gases and their respective pressures on Earth. The pressure of nitrogen, which is the most dominant gas on Earth, is 1.1 bars, while the pressure of carbon dioxide, which is the most dominant gas on Kepler-26f, is 0.5 bars. The pressure of a gas determines how compressed the gas particles are and how much kinetic energy they have. Having less space and more kinetic energy would make the sound easier to pass through such a medium. This is because the more tightly packed molecules are to each other, the faster and easier sound will be able to travel. In Kepler-26f, the pressure is lower than on Earth, and this means that the sound will travel at a slower speed and for shorter distances.
The expected solution is to enlarge the alien's ears. Let's do some calculations. Having double the pressure would mean double the moving speed. This means the ear should be twice as big to be efficient. This would leave us with 6.4 times 2, which is 12.8 centimeters ears, which is huge. We expected in a later section that our alien's height would be around 25 centimeters, and having ears half as big as its size would increase the alien's mass, and therefore restrict its freedom of movement and use up a lot of its energy. Knowing that, we decided that our alien would have a single small antenna that is sensitive to sound and would bear the alien the trouble of huge ears.
Next, we'll be discussing the alien's wings. So this alien will have strong falcon-like wings. During the winter and particularly cold nights, contact with the ground will freeze the fats in the alien's body. So to avoid this, the alien will move above the ground using wings.
The alien's skin has numerous distinct characteristics. To start with, the alien will be covered in long, thick fur. According to our findings, the average temperature of Kepler-26f is 188 kelvins, which is much lower than the average temperature of Earth, which is 207.16 kelvins. The alien will have thick fur to keep itself warm in spite of this frigid environment.
Also, the alien will have multiple layers of fat under its skin. This will resemble the body of a polar bear, which is designed in such a way that a layer of fat up to 3.4 inches thick lines the inside of its skin. This fat acts as an energy store for slow hunting periods in addition to helping the polar bear keep warm.
The alien will have a small body as light as possible in weight due to a couple of factors. Start with gravity. We have used the following calculations to find the acceleration due to gravity in Kepler-186f. This is the weight needed to obtain the same movement of a normal human being on Earth, but since our alien is small in size and has wings, it must have a lower mass than an average human being. Let's try with the mass of a bird now. After performing the following calculations, we have decided that our alien must weigh 17.12 kilograms.
Microgravity has many effects on the human body. For instance, astronauts' heights increase when they're up in space because of less gravity. They can go up to 2 to 3 inches, actually. So imagine a human body is like a spring. When there's less force applied on it, it'll stretch more. Hence, the lower the gravitational force, the taller the organism would be. Since the alien's home planet has higher gravity than Earth, we have decided the alien must be short. We will continue comparing our alien to a bird in the following calculation. So, since the average height of a medium bird on Earth is 16 inches, we anticipate that our alien will be between 9 and 13 inches tall.
In general, the larger the body size in terms of surface area to volume ratio of an organism, the higher the heat loss from the body will be. The direct effect of this relationship is the habitat of animals. Animals that have a smaller surface area to volume ratio, such as polar bears, generally live in colder climates. Under such conditions, the heat generated from metabolism needs to be conserved, and the small surface area to volume ratio allows that.
After research, we decided that we take our work to the next level by designing a 3D model of our alien. Then we presented this along with a summary of our research in a detailed poster, which you can see on the screen. So, concluding, contrary to popular belief, the alien will not have green, smooth skin, nor will it eat human brains or walk. Instead, as predicted in our hypothesis, it will have thick, light blue skin covered in fur. It will depend on gases and ice for metabolism, and it will slither and fly. However, among the correct assumptions we made are inaccuracies, such as the presence of multiple eyes and a tail. We are looking forward to sharing our findings with our peers, and although it was a tiring process to come to these conclusions, we have enjoyed working on such an interesting project. Thank you.
Thank you, Alison Berland, for that presentation. And now we have our last group for the alien creature presentations, Mizna, Noor, Reem, and Sheikha. Are you girls ready?
Yes.
All right, yalla. Please present your screen, and you can go ahead and start.
Hello everyone, today we're presenting our PBL project journey, presented by Mr. Mansouri, Noor bin Hamad, Reem Steyman, and Sheikh Ali. So first of all, according to the description in science fiction movies and several documentary shows on television, aliens are much different from normal creatures available on Earth. Here, the morphology of aliens has been described according to the reports of research journals of astrobiology. Then the differences between human being and alien are outlined here. Therefore, this is a research describing a different part of an alien anatomical system and the way they adapt with it.
The purpose of our research is to understand the needs of aliens in comparison to humans and to understand how aliens are able to produce energy, in addition to understanding the morphology of aliens and their physical traits by comparing aliens to astronauts landing on Mars. And by this, we will be able to illustrate and model a 3D model of an alien. Therefore, we listed below some questions that we are trying to find answers about and prove our hypothesis. The first one, what food sources aliens might need in space in comparison to what humans consume on Earth? What are the similarities and differences between humans and aliens from the appearance perspective, the morphology? And how will aliens' digestive system work and what essential nutrients they may require?
So the objectives of studying such topic of our PBL is to first of all help in sustaining education by introducing a new field of learning to curriculums and to be able to structure and build an initial prototype of the alien, as well as to achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 8, decent work and economic growth, as well as achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goal number 4, quality education, and number 9, innovation and infrastructure, as well as number 15, life on land. and to go with the UAE vision of 2021 and 2071 of having UAE being advanced in theoretical and innovative framework. So we can conclude all of this by saying that we aim to design an alien model for science fiction filming, and this model is based on two things. First of all, understanding the well adaptation of human beings' body living on Earth, plus understanding the changes human body undergo when traveling to space.
Hypothesis. Based on a theory, we hypothesize aliens would be able to survive through adapting with the environment and gain characteristics that enable them to search for food, and how their physical traits enable them in survival.
According to the advanced researchers of astrobiology, we know that there are some similarities in potential shaping of aliens and humans by processes and mechanisms. Like human beings, they are also undergo the processes of evolution to be fitter and stronger. However, modern prediction of astrobiology associating chemistry, geology, physics say that there are a huge number of major transitions when a group of species are separated from one another with certain differences in organisms.
As for the procedures, the beginning, to be able to demonstrate aliens' appearance or morphology, we used a platforms that helped us in structuring a 3D model of an alien that can survive in multiple environments, which is SketchUp. And in addition, we used another website, which helped us in demonstrating the inner parts of the alien, specifically the digestive system anatomy.
So the first step before actually drawing our examination into a digital sketch, we were exploring different platforms, and we settled on Tinkercad and SketchUp, as we use these two platforms for modeling an alien that best support the function desired. So as Noor mentioned, Tinkercad was to present the inner organs of an alien, and the SketchUp was to present more of the morphology of the alien.
Joining and combining the pieces together in an organized manner as an application to our productions, and conducting sessions with experts regarding the design of the alien.
As for the last step, we finalized the two designs that link with science fiction films, as we attached the Tinkercad design in this report to be able to visualize the anatomy of the alien, while for the morphology, we attach a separate document along with this report, which illustrates our design using SketchUp.
As for the data analysis, we have several figures that we discussed throughout the research. The first figure is that describes is related to the third question that will be discussed, which is related to the nutrients needed by the aliens, which we gave an example as calcium and sodium. The second figure describes our initial design and observation to aliens' morphology and their internal systems upon the expert responses, and our investigations supported by the scientific studies. And the last figure is the photo is it's taken out of the science fiction driven movies, and shows the investigation into how aliens might look after examining a lot of experiments related to the function to humans. And for the first figure, it's related to we research according to the astronauts in the space.
So throughout our PBL journey, we had several questions or several unclear points that we wanted to ask the expert about. So to understand how our model should be like. So our school have invited an expert so we can discuss with, and that is what we did. So we had a meeting with an expert through Google Meet platform. And after the meeting, we come to realize that if aliens were to be real, their biotypes are exclusively different from those on Earth because of habitation under distinct planetary environment. But most film producers and experts in the field usually present aliens in filming industries like humans, as having the biochemical foundations like limbs and pair of legs, as well as arms, eyes, ears, or nostrils.
Results. What food source aliens might need in space in comparison to what humans consume on Earth? After researching and studying the dietary needs for an astronaut in space, we hypothesized that aliens may need
adequate amount of vitamins, including vitamin A, B12, C, D, E, and K, minerals such as salt, fats, carbohydrates, and protein. We are able to come in this conclusion after the research that referred the fact that humans in space need extra calcium intake to help keeping the bones functioning properly, taking into consideration that the energy calories requirements for humans in space is similar to the one needed by aliens due to similar environment conditions.
As for how aliens' digestive system work and what essential nutrients they may require, aliens have the same similar digestive system as humans. However, they have an extra folds in their small intestines. As the mechanism of the digestive system, it starts when the alien food is in the stomach, digested and swollen by the lining tube between the mouth and the stomach. After it's digested in the stomach, it will be passed on to the small intestine and then released at the end of the digestive system. As well as the aliens need an important types of nutrients that helps them in coping with the environmental changes, such as sodium and calcium to help them maintaining the health of their bones. And all of this information is related to was researched based on how astronauts cope with the outer space changes.
As for the third question, what are the similarities and differences between humans and aliens from the appearance perspective? So when considering an alien appearance, we need to consider outputs and inputs an alien might need, as these are crucial in designing the overall structure of an alien. As inputs are important to ensure aliens stay alive. Inputs might be for food, which in this case could be the mouth, and we need inputs of sources of oxygen if they were to live on planets with the same pressure as Earth, with about 80% nitrogen and 20% oxygen. An alien might also need an output to release waste, which could be through the excretory organs, which includes skin, liver, or intestine, lungs, and kidneys. Aliens also need structures that support their posture, including the bones of the skeleton and the cartilages, ligaments, and other connective tissue that stabilize and connect the bones for posture.
Throughout our journey, we encountered some obstacles and had some limits. Finding scientific data regarding aliens was one of the challenges because aliens aren't real creatures, or at least not discovered. However, we did some research and trying to find how aliens viewed by science fiction producers are related in some way with humans. But these obstacles and limits have made us gain some valuable skills, such as research and investigation skills, as well as critical thinking and elaborative thinking, as well as, of course, modeling and designing.
A conclusion and future plans. As for conclusion, this modeling project helps in aligning with the UAE national agenda, as well as the global SDGs, like in innovation and infrastructure, as well as quality education. So the first plan was to participate in programs and events to present our model and conclusions, improving the efficiency of the model, investing in the model to create science fiction films, initiating a new interest of research and curriculum for educational purposes.
And last but not least, these are the references. And thank you for listening and have a great day ahead.
Thank you, girls, for that wonderful presentation. And with that, we are concluding the presentations for the Alien Creature Challenge. Those of you who are interested in attending the Slow the Spread presentations, you can move over to the next room. The girls and the boys have already started presenting their work in the Slow the Spread presentations. Thank you, everyone.
Because it's a
I think now we can leave this room, right, Ms. Yusra?
We just have the materials. We start by measuring out tablespoon of